As more intense and visually attractive sports like cricket, football, tennis, badminton, and even kabaddi grasp the attention of the Indian audience, golf is a sport that is known to be enjoyed by the stereotypical upper stratum individual as their leisure activity. It is a sport that is lurking in the background for years now in India. Though this sport is not on every Indian's favorite list, yet the Indian society has not failed in bringing out world class golfers whose achievements have assisted in the growth of the sport in the country. Golf was introduced in India by the British Empire, much like other popular sports. In 1829, the first golfing establishment, the Royal Calcutta Golf Club, was established in the East Indian metropolis. This establishment shows the age of golf as a professional sport in India. It was 22 years later that the world saw a shift from golf as a gentleman's game to a golf as a competitive sport. Golf is no longer known as the sport of the rich, for the rich, or by the rich. It is no longer restricted to the tycoons and the corporate giants of the world, as networking is far more open today. It has opened its doors to middle class because of the ascent in sponsored events by leading Indian and multinational brands. These events promote young talents and bring out the best in them. Golfing culture in India is growing vastly, but we must take advantage of our rapidly increasing resources if the nation wants to imprint its name in the sports history books. Hello everyone, you're listening to the Socially Desi show, the podcast that motivates you to live, create, and inspire. If this is your first time here, welcome. On our show, we discuss tips and strategies with our guest speakers on how to tackle problems related to personal growth, mental health, relationships, entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. So hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com for more of such content. Today, I am joined by Rahul Bajaj. He is a certified golf instructor with over 15 years of experience as a touring pro, and he is also the founder of Golf Garage, an online portal catering to all your golfing needs. Be it pre-owned golf clubs to classy golf t-shirts, you name it and they have it. Hello Rahul, welcome to the show.
Hi, Anurag. Thank you so much for having me on your show and considering me to be able to speak about golf.
No, it's a great pleasure to be hosting you on the show today, Rahul. Thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Very
So,
kind of you.
how's the academy doing? All back on track, or is it still going slow?
So, the way it works on my side is, I coach at the Noida Golf Club and
Mm-hmm.
the Noida Stadium, and now I've also started teaching at Crossing Republic,
Okay.
which is on the border of Noida and Ghaziabad.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, most of the students are still not able to make it. Some of them are in Delhi. Some of them have only time on certain days and all of that. So it's not really gone back to normal. But as such, if I look into what's going on, it's been great because we've been doing online lessons. I've been advising my students to go through yoga classes online as
Okay.
well,
Mm-hmm.
so that they can all keep up their mental strength and their physical strength during this pandemic time, so that when the tournaments actually come in,
Yep.
they're able to come out and still be in form. You know,
True.
instead of actually this time can be really difficult for some people, and they could start thinking that we can practice later and all of that, but that actually will hamper them in the long run. So we've actually suggested them to go the other way around
Mm-hmm.
and work on the other aspects which help in making athletes, which is yoga, meditation, and exercising, so that even if they are not out here, they are still working on something which is going to be productive in the long run.
Yeah, I mean that's really important. This game is not just about just physical strength. It's more about how you maintain your body composure, how you maintain your mental strength as well, even when you are not playing. So I believe it's really important for us to be that well connected to our mind and our body at the same time while playing golf. And talking about you coaching students and young kids, you started as an amateur, right? So what was your journey like? When did you start playing golf?
So my journey actually started when I was 15 years old, and I started at this little, maybe a summer camp at Noida Golf Club. Even though I had been introduced earlier to the sport by my father in Calcutta because he was in the army, so he took me to the golf course, and I got introduced to it. I never really enjoyed the sport, to be honest with you, Anurag. It wasn't really fun for me. It wasn't really the kind of sport I wanted to play. But when I came down here to Noida and I started at the age of 15, something struck in me to want to get better at it. And so that's when the journey really started. And I kept on going on that path. And every time I got better, I actually wanted to become even better after that. Right. So it was like it's like that push that if you run 3 kilometers, then you're thinking, tomorrow let me try to run 3.5 kilometers
True, true.
you
Yeah.
know so it was kind of like that my entire journey so far. So yeah, so that's how it started. And thereafter I just I started participating in some tournaments and
Hmm.
started seeing that my handicap was getting better. And once I got into tournaments, Anurag, and I've actually started making up my mind about playing golf at the age of 18,
Okay.
is when I actually decided, between going for a, full-time college or professional college somewhere versus, staying in Delhi and keep on practicing in golf.
Hmm.
So I chose the latter. And so I stuck around here and I would actually spend most of my time at the golf course, just practicing from sunlight to sunset. So yeah, so that's what I did, and one thing led to the other, and I kept on getting a little bit better with passing time, and that's what really sprung me on. Then I started playing some tournaments,
Hmm.
wherein again it was like first I went in and I performed really really shabbily,
Okay.
and that leads you to it can lead you to two places. One is a slightly embarrassed zone, which would
Yeah.
be anyway. The other zone that is there is that you're like, oh, now I know a little better, so let me try to do this a little better the next time. And
True.
I got into the second zone. So I started figuring out ways as to how to get a little better about playing tournaments.
Hmm.
And thereafter, I think 2050, 2006, I started playing the amateur tour.
Okay.
And by the end of the first year itself, I was, I think, ranked 13th on the order of merit,
Wow, that's nice.
which was my very first year on tour. And that just led me to, start thinking that, wow, I'd try to break that barrier the next year.
Hmm.
So the next year I went out and I tried to break that barrier as well. Right.
Right, right.
And the next year I finished, I think, if I'm not wrong, I finished eighth on the order of merit that year.
Okay. Wow.
Right.
Hmm.
So yeah, so things just went up like that. And then in 2011 end, I played my first professional event in at the Indian Open in Delhi Golf Club,
Okay.
and formally turned pro at the 2012 qualifying.
Wow.
And
Hmm.
2010 has been a year which actually stood out in shine of my amateur career, because I'd won, even though I'd won national tournaments 3 times before that. But playing for your country and being able to get a medal at the Asian Games is a different feeling altogether. And then being able to also represent your country at, you know, various international events, including, the Eisenhower Trophy, which is the World Cup of golf.
Hmm.
So, 2010 ended up becoming a little bit of a highlight year, and then I turned pro, and then I spent 7 years playing pro golf.
So how has the landscape changed in the last decade? Like you turned pro at 2010.
Yeah,
So how has the whole landscape changed?
I
Is
turned
it
pro in 2012.
2012? Yeah. So in the last, 8, 10 years, if I have to look at the whole, landscape of pro golfing, especially for amateurs and young players, how it has changed? What do you feel has uh, been a positive point for it, and what are the weaknesses that are still there?
So Anurag, you'll be, happy to know that golf as such as a sport in India, I think as long as I've been seeing it, has only been growing.
Hmm.
Okay, so be it in its popularity, be it in more people wanting to play it, in all those aspects, the sport has only been growing with more opportunities to play, be it locally at a club near you, and just to pick up the sport for recreation. Even those are growing because people are being able to lay hands on golf courses now for much cheaper price than they used to.
Yeah. True.
So the inaccessibility, so to speak, of golf has reduced in
Hmm.
a huge manner, but still there is a long way to go. So that is where golf stands as a sport. But if I look at professional golf over the years that I've played, you will see that the competition level each year that I've been there has changed. And today we are at a level that pro golf in India at a tournament, you have to play, you have to shoot about 20 to 25 under per
Yeah.
tournament over
Hmm.
4 days to be able to win a tournament. And
True.
that speaks volumes about the depth of the field and the amount of talent we have in our country, right? And believe you me, Anurag, you'll be surprised also that if you can really, shoot those numbers on Indian golf courses,
Hmm.
you can definitely do that abroad.
Yeah, I mean that actually that is actually really true, because I still see golf courses in India. I mean, some of the golf courses are really tough,
Yeah.
and so I mean, yeah, correctly said. If you can actually shoot these numbers on our courses, then I'm sure international courses would be much forgiving.
Yeah, so what happens, Anurag, is that if you actually go out and play tournaments the way we guys have played, we've
Hmm.
gone through, to different countries and also variety of states in India to play
Hmm.
on different golf courses. So what you will see is that week after week, what you're doing is you're adapting to completely different conditions,
Yeah.
right? You could be playing a tournament in Bangalore in absolutely pristine condition, and then you could land up somewhere, else in the country and be absolutely struck with, crap grass, which is cow grass
Yeah.
in the normal
Hmm.
terms, right? So you could be playing in those kind of conditions, and in those kind of conditions, to shoot those numbers is no mean feat. So once a guy has done that, when you look at an American golf course or a European golf course, what you will see on an American golf course is the condition looks pretty similar every week,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So every tournament you see on TV, the condition is looking the same. The weather conditions do change, of course, and the course setup changes,
Yeah.
the course layout changes, but the conditions are pretty much, really, really good. And the conditions in India are not that good. But having said that, if players can do it over here, I think with a little bit more support, we could have tons of players going outside of India and really proving themselves.
Yeah, you talking about support. What sort of popularity rise have you seen amongst millennials? Especially, since now you are into full-time coaching, you must be seeing a lot of young kids coming in with their parents. So, what sort of rise in popularity have you seen for golf amongst millennials?
Again, actually, Anurag, I'll start this from like I think a 2010,
Hmm.
12 kind of a period, instead of just focusing on what's happening right now.
Hmm.
The fact is that I think this revolution around junior golf started around 7 or 8 years ago,
Okay.
where we started seeing a lot of junior golfers come into the club,
Hmm.
you know so now a lot of parents want their kids to become golfers and play the sport. And interestingly, not just for recreation, even if the parent does not play golf, they're actually looking at their child becoming a champion at some point of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a huge growth in those numbers. In fact, if there's anyone listening to this, I would actually urge you all to go to your nearest golf course, probably in the evening at about 5 o'clock, and have a look at the number of junior kids that play.
Hmm.
Um, Interestingly, I can also tell you that my youngest student started at the age of 6.5 years with me,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And I regularly teach 6-year-old, 8-year-old, 11-year-old kids who are really, really good in the rock. They are really good at the sport and they love playing it. So the demographics of the sport in the country is changing rapidly. It's just a matter of time wherein we can actually say that it could be one of the main sports, right? I won't use the term mass because that might be a little difficult, but it could definitely become one of the main sports of the country.
Yeah, I mean, look at Ojaswini.
Right,
I mean, she is a 6-year-old champion
right,
and she is leading women's golf in India.
right.
So I don't think so, these days, I mean, age, I mean, especially for golf, I mean, people say that, oh, I don't have that age to play golf anymore. I think that's the biggest myth for golf. I think, age is not a number in golf.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact, uh, you'll be again, the numbers that we see are starting from 6 years of age,
Hmm.
and I can take you all the way up to the 90s,
Yeah.
right? With that kind of a demographic to play a sport, it's a surprise that not so many more people play it right now, right? India is not really, like to call ourselves a sporting nation, but we are not actually a very sporting nation.
Hmm.
Uh, I would think that a sporting nation is one which encourages people to be outdoors and do things outdoors, like maybe a trekking or a cycling or a running. That's there in their culture. India
Yeah.
doesn't have that yet. And I think we have to not only make strides in golf, we also need to make strides in first making our country into a sort of an athletic or a sporting nation.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we can actually expect the biggest numbers to come in. So the it has to be two-pronged approach. It cannot be a one-pronged approach.
No, that's rightly said because we as Indians are mostly regarded as IT professionals. So we are people who sit with a laptop and do coding. That's how the world sees us, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
right.
sadly a culture thing, actually, Anurag. It's
Yeah.
sadly a culture thing. What happens is that when you talk about golf to someone or any sport to someone, you will see the guy who's at, like, let's say at the age of 40, he probably got a kid or two at home. He's been married for a couple of years. What he's going to think is that, my age to play sport
Hmm.
is not there anymore, right?
True.
But
Yeah.
actually, if you go through any sort of researches that have happened in the past, you will see that there is no age to play sport. In fact, countries that have involved people in playing sports are healthier countries. They've got longer lifespans, right?
Yeah.
So not going and playing a sport is not an excuse anymore. We have seen that revolution quite a bit now in terms of India also, but I think it's very centric to the urban world. So let's say you can say a Delhi NCR or a Chennai or a Bombay
Hmm.
might be wanting to go that route, uh, a decent size in that population. But I don't think everybody yet has realized the importance of it. Even though we are a yoga country, everybody should be practicing yoga, but we don't do it, right? That itself could increase so much of lifespan.
That's really on point because as a nation, I mean, if you look at our numbers also, for any family like an average Indian family, you look at they'll look at their kid and they'll say, okay, he plays good cricket, he plays good football, ठीक है, keep it as a hobby. That's like a hobby that you can have for a few years, and then when it comes to doing college, then you prepare for those examinations, entrance exams, and then you get a job, and then you can simultaneously continue your hobby. So that is
Right.
like one big problem because I'll give my own example. I also started back in 2000, I believe 2004 and 2005.
Okay.
So my dad was in the BSF and he was posted in Shillong. So I got a really good chance of playing at the Shillong Golf Club.
Right.
So I started back in 2005, but so far, I've always been like a casual weekend golfer
Yeah.
because, at the back of the mind, it was always studies first and, focus on your career second. And then maybe if you get time, then you can focus more on your hobbies. That is something that, even though parents don't, emphasize, but it gets in your mind somewhere or the other.
Yeah.
So as a nation, you have rightly said that unless and until we become an outdoor going, the personality changes to an outdoor going person,
Yeah.
we cannot change the whole, playground of sports in India.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have to really look at this in a different light. We have a societal issue also,
Hmm.
right? No matter what I say, Anurag, there is definitely a societal issue. People
Hmm.
do look at you differently when you play sport, and they if I may be very candid right now,
Yeah, yeah.
I can tell you that there are a lot of times that you'd say that you're a professional golfer, and you'd get someone who is on the other side, could be an uncle or an aunt or
Hmm.
anyone, turn around and say, अच्छा वो तो ठीक है पर करते क्या हो?
True.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's a very possible thing to happen. If they would see a professional golfer's routine, they would be they if they can find time in the middle of the day somewhere for them to
Hmm.
do something else,
Hmm.
I'd be highly shocked, because a full-time professional golfer has a full-time job. Professional golf is his full-time job.
Hmm.
So if
Hmm.
anyone thinks that just playing professional golf is not a job in itself, you're absolutely wrong, because like I said, you've got to be in the gym,
Hmm.
you've got to be doing yoga also, you've also got to be practicing meditation and mental fitness in a way. You also have to be dedicating time to your technical aspects of your game, and also make sure that for your scoring abilities, going to the golf course and playing rounds on a regular basis,
True. True.
right? So with all that going on, how does one actually do something else on the side? It's a
That's
very
true.
difficult thing. So I think essentially when people start understanding that sports can be a profession, I think yes, things will change. And I think to a very large extent, Anurag, things have started changing. People have started understanding. Maybe it's only reached a certain strata of the society yet. I think it will reach a bigger strata as well in
Mm-hmm.
times to come. And I also feel that social media as such plays a huge role in changing these things today,
Yeah, true.
because suddenly you have a sort of via media for a sportsman or an upcoming player to have a sort of a marketing ability,
Yeah,
right? Which is a free of charge marketing ability. Now it's your own achievements and your own marketing ability which will get you through. But there is an opportunity now. You don't have to wait for things to happen. You can start making things happen yourself.
yeah.
So it's a things are changing very, very rapidly. People are also seeing sportsmen online, and being able to gain some more respect for them. I definitely think South India has way more respect for sportsmen
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to a little bit of North India. And even though I'm a North Indian, I'm saying this out aloud, being very candid about it. Um, I definitely see that sort of a thought process more often than not. But having said that, things will change sooner or later. Until then, there will definitely be challenges in terms of ये क्या करेगा, वो क्या करेगा, and अगर कुछ नहीं हुआ तो. The fact of the matter is, Anurag, everything on the internet is, or by a computer,
True.
via a device, will start taking shape. Let's say uh, in times to come, you might not even need an accountant, by the way, because your laptop or an application can handle everything. You can also make invoices, by the way, on a mobile phone today.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
for that big job of an accountant, which used to be a great deal earlier, there are free apps for that,
True.
right? In times to come, uh, you can do all sorts of marketing planning on apps these days. You can also do. I don't know what's going on the scenes of MBAs, but I definitely came across an article a few days ago that what is the effect of the pandemic on an MBA degree? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
does it still hold as much value that it used to? And it was a an association which had written about this, that the demand for MBAs over the years has dropped.
True.
you know so the people with skill who can do things like a sportsman for that matter would actually start gaining more value now,
Mm.
because you can't replace a sportsman unless and until you plan to watch tournaments uh, which are played by robos or online tournaments, right, like a video game. Unless and until you're willing to do that, you are only going to be growing the game further, which is great in my opinion,
True.
right? And when that happens, people will start warming up to you also becoming a sportsman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other flip side of this, and I'm taking a little bit time on this question because it is an important question.
Yeah, it is.
Uh,
Yeah.
so when I look at, let's say, a junior golfer,
Mm.
16, 17, 18, please study, okay? Be it in any sport that you're playing. Do study, because studies will help you in a variety of ways. One of the most important ways that it will help you is when you make up uh, a good sports career for yourself, you will have to speak to the media.
Mm.
And how are you going to speak if you're not educated?
True.
Right? So you do need education. You do need education to interact with your sponsors also. So even if you want to become a sportsman, don't leave your studies. It's only going to help you in the long run,
That's true.
right? So studies is not a bad thing. It's a great thing. So you must absorb that as well. But when it comes to the sport, I understand that there are fears amongst people that whether you will make it or not make it. Let me assure you that there are way more opportunities these days around sports, and you can also fall back on that. Having said that, if I just leave the fallback option on the side for a second, I say, if you are going to worry about whether I'm going to make it or not make it, don't do it,
Yeah, that is true.
because you've already started on the back foot.
Mm.
The greatest athletes in this world have not never said that. What they say is that they saw a goal, and they saw that sweating it out daily towards that goal is what they did. That's what they wanted to do.
True,
So they
true.
kept doing that, right? Without worrying about what's going to come out of it. So if you've set a goal to become a sportsman, just go out there and say, I'm going to get this done one way or the other, and find a way. Because if you start listening to people, there will be more reasons to say no than to say yes, I can assure you. But that one reason to say yes should be good enough for you to pull through.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot start your journey with a doubt in your mind. So
Absolutely.
you need to be very clear as to what you want to achieve. You want to become like Arjun.
Yeah,
He only sees the eye of the fish and nothing else.
right. Right. Absolutely. And if you look at Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest athletes of all times, this great quote by him, and he said, I am the greatest, and I knew it before I even became the greatest.
Yeah.
Right? And if you go and watch his movie on, let's say, Netflix, I think there's a Netflix movie on Muhammad Ali,
Hmm.
you will notice that this guy had like two absolutely opposing personalities inside his house and outside when he was in the ring. Absolutely opposing personalities. And that is what sportsmen do. Sportsmen have a different outlook and persona on the outside
Mm.
because that's what makes them great. That's what makes them stand out from everyone else who's trying to compete with them. Right? So there are very interesting examples out there that one could take.
True. And Rahul, talking about sportsmen and this whole pandemic situation, you must be in touch with a lot of professionals and touring pros in India. What sort of impact has this whole COVID-19 situation had on the players and the whole business in in a whole situation?
So if I were to just speak about professional golf, I think this pandemic has affected it very badly
Mm.
because there are no tournaments happening. And, in this situation, for even a lot of, let's say, big companies to come forward and sponsor events is going to be a difficult thing because even they are suffering, right? So it's definitely a time of difficulty for professional golfers. Most of them will survive it, of course, because some of them also come from decent backgrounds. Some of them have made good money playing tournaments. So some of them will survive. Some of them might have some difficulty, but I'm sure that they're all keeping themselves afloat by staying positive and finding more and more things to do uh, so that they can supplement their income as of right now
Yeah.
before tournaments begin again.
Hmm.
I think Anurag, the great thing about sport is I'm not very I'm concerned about my professional golfer friends at this point, but I wouldn't be very concerned. One thing that sports teaches you, Anurag, is to find a way
Hmm.
and work hard, right?
True. Yeah.
And I think that will hold everyone in a good stead
Mm.
throughout this period. They will try to stay positive, they will keep working hard, and they will keep finding ways to get themselves better so that when tournaments begin, they will push themselves and maybe start winning more tournaments and maybe start getting more top finishes.
Yeah.
I'm very sure that professional athletes will be doing this because of the way they end up training their mind over a period of time, right?
That's
It
true.
is a
Yeah.
difficult time, let's not deny that. But at the same time, there is nothing else to do. A lot of people, not only in sport, but otherwise, are also having a difficult time.
Yeah.
We can only stay afloat and try to stay positive and work hard. Even like I said, you might not be able to go out, but you can stay in and still work on things which can get you better.
Yeah, you can always work on your swing at home,
Yeah, you
do
you could do
something.
that. You
Yeah.
could work on your golf swing. That's definitely one thing. Sometimes not hitting golf balls actually helps you to make the changes that which you were unable to make when you actually
Mm.
had the ball in front of you. It might find funny to a layman listening to this, but actually it makes a difference because when you don't get feedback from a ball immediately, you're actually able to work on the correct things for a longer duration of time,
Yeah.
right? So that's definitely one. Then also, of course, like I said earlier, also the yoga and meditation part, that's also something that a lot of players, maybe who've not even done it in the past, are probably doing it right now, just to make sure that they're utilizing their time well. So sportsmen, I'm very sure, will get through this period, Anurag, because they are by nature or by the design of their working, that they train their minds, so they'll be doing well through the
True, true.
pandemic. Yeah.
So, tell me about the biggest myth that you have heard in golf throughout your career.
Okay. There are plenty myths about golf.
Which is the biggest one? Let's start with the biggest one.
Okay, if I just go around talking about technical aspects, okay, one of the biggest myths is this whole thing that everybody says, head down, head down, during the swing. Okay, it's the biggest myth ever, Anurag. If anything, if I could just switch that into eye on the ball,
Mm,
that would be the best thing, because I want someone to look at the ball when they are swinging, and when the ball leaves the club, you should still be looking at the ball, not looking down anymore,
true.
right? And I've got various scientific basis for why it is actually beneficial to let your head go when the ball
Mm,
goes.
mm,
So that's definitely one of the biggest myths in technical aspects of the game. And another technical aspect, which is, there's something called a release. There's hardly anybody who can actually explain what a correct release is,
yeah.
right? And it's funny
Mm,
how I keep listening to people trying to teach it. So that's again another one of those myths that is very, very common. The other myth that actually for the last couple of days that I've been looking at is that that golf is only played by people who are retired.
yeah. This is like a big one.
Yeah. So in fact, the last few days I've been looking at, I've been talking to a few people for some help in terms of my work. And when I start talking to them about what kind of people do you think play golf,
Mm,
you'll be surprised that everyone says 50 or 55 plus. Okay. That's a big myth, in my opinion, in today's day and age, because I run this thing called Golf Garage. My entire customer base starts at like the age of 15,
mm,
right?
yeah.
And most of my clients who have come off social media start at 15 and probably end at 40. And the ones above that are people who come from word of mouth. They don't even come via social media,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
So if I look at just that myth as such, I'm dealing mostly with people who are 50, between 15 and 40, 45 years of age.
Mm, mm,
So that's a huge myth in itself, and it's a myth that I think has lasted India for way many years, too many years now, right? Everybody thinks that it's an old man's sport and all of that, and I probably made that mistake myself when I started out,
mm,
thinking
mm.
that no, this is not going to be interesting enough. But actually, finally, it's one of the most interesting games anyone would ever play.
Yeah, and that's actually leading to the next myth that actually I wanted to ask you, that a lot of people, especially our age, they'll look at golf and they'll say, "Oh, it's a boring game.
Yeah,
You just keep on walking for 7, 8 kilometers and there's nothing else to do. Just look at the ball, hit, and go fetch. It's like you're just like a dog. You're just fetching the ball." So I guess that's a big myth. Why don't you burst it for us?
could I say something to these people who think that golf is a boring sport? Okay, I like to usually explain to people who just don't know about the game as golf is a game of chess played on a field of grass.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what it is. There is immense amount of strategy. There is immense amount of skill involved.
yeah,
And believe you me, if you are not physically fit, you cannot walk 8 kilometers,
that is true.
right? So when I look at all these aspects culminating together, is when you can actually play decent golf. So whoever is listening to this and thinks that golf is boring, try it out. Try to connect that small ball with that small club over and over again. If you still think it's boring, I would love to hear back from you, because it's skill, the amount of skill that is involved in moving those muscles again and again in the same way so that that club it can come back and the ball can hit absolutely back in the center of it is very tough to gain. That's the first thing. Second thing is moving your body as much as it moves during a golf swing and as stable as it needs to be. You
Yeah.
will have to probably have a great core and a great turning ability, which leaves you with another aspect of golf, which means your physical aspects, right? The strategy part, guys, by the way, uh, I want to tell you how important the strategy part is to map out your way around a golf course. Those 8 kilometers of walk, how to map it is very, very important. And there's multiple benefits of this strategy. It
True.
also would teach you strategy in your businesses,
True. True. Yeah.
right? Because suddenly you will be looking at not just a field of grass, but suddenly you'll be looking at a hole where there is water,
Hmm. True.
there are trees, there is air, wind, there is rain also. There is a hole put in a certain location, and then there is bunkers which have sand in them.
True.
Now, this is pretty much like life, right? You go out on the road, there's a pothole, then a speed breaker, but you mitigate your way through it,
Yeah.
right? But if you're thinking about something else, it's definitely happened with you that you've gone inside that gadda on the road and you've jumped over the speed breaker.
Yeah.
If you were paying attention, it was fine,
True.
right?
True.
Well,
Yes.
it's a very nice way of actually training your strategic aspect of your life. And if you can spend 5 hours out there focused, because you're focusing on strategy now, moving your body the way you need to move in golf, and walking 8 kilometers a day, believe you me, you'd have a pretty good life.
True, true. And those 8 kilometers are not on a straight line.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be boring anymore because you're thinking. Strategy is all about thinking and applying your mind. So suddenly now golf doesn't remain boring anymore.
It's addictive.
Yeah,
To me,
very
golf is
addictive.
addictive.
No, it's very, very addictive actually. It's very addictive because of these reasons, Anurag. It's very addictive also because humans have an ego, right? We all, men and women, everyone has a ego, right? One of the biggest reasons I think people love playing golf is because their ego can't handle how from day to day they cannot actually hit that ball the way they were hitting it yesterday
On the same course.
on the same course on the next day, right?
True,
And
true,
from hole to hole, from maybe a morning round to an evening round, things can change,
true.
and that could really be that can also be an ego bust for someone. But also, what happens is that the guy is like, "How can I not do this? So I'm going to go back tomorrow and I'm going to work hard at this and I'm going to figure out a way."
Yeah,
And that's what drives people to come back to the golf course. And it's great because you're putting your head in a place which is a positive place to be,
that is true.
right? Involving your time, your free time, in a positive place like a sport, be it golf or be it any other sport for that matter, let me tell you, is only going to impact you positively.
Yeah,
Vis-a-vis using that free time of yours and doing something else with it, which completely will never actually contribute to your life.
true.
In that sense, golf, even if you spend 2 hours over there, it would actually end up contributing to your life, which is superb, I think. Any sport for that matter, Anurag, any sport. I don't want to be biased here. Any sport will benefit you.
Yeah, I mean, you have rightly said about the whole, making strategies because I remember when, so these days I'm not playing. It's been like almost 4 months I have not picked up the club. But earlier, when we used to play during weekends, like the whole week, me and my friends would interact with each other over WhatsApp or something, and we'll make strategies because we'll have our four balls and all. So, we'll make our own strategies that, how we'll maneuver the golf course and, how the first front nine and the back nine would be played. It's like so engaging. Even when you're not on the course, you're always thinking of the course, you're always thinking of what's going to happen and, how the things are going to change. So it's actually a game where you are not just playing physically, you are also challenged mentally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, interestingly, when I talk about my coaching life,
Hmm, hmm,
when I talk to club golfers or junior golfers, everyone just comes these days and they just stand on the mat and they think that there's something wrong with their golf swing.
hmm,
I've totally changed the aspect of this, but the thing is that if I could make someone understand how to strategize themselves
hmm,
on the golf course on the basis of their skill set,
hmm,
I could turn anyone down uh, their handicap by 2 to 4 shots in
hmm.
just one round of golf by making them understand where were the leakages during their play,
Right.
right? You
Hmm,
might not even need a technical lesson from me.
hmm, hmm,
If you come to me and say, I'm a 14 handicapper
hmm.
and I want to become a better handicapper, it's not necessary that it's your golf swing or your technical aspect that is lacking. More often than not, I see in a 14 handicapper, the reason he cannot tone down his handicap is because he does not strategize anything and he
True.
thinks the fault is lying within him.
Me,
He's just
me.
not
I'm the
understood.
one.
There you go. Yeah. There are
I'm the
so many
one.
people like that who don't
Yeah.
understand wherein there is immense amount of strategy involved. And if I just took care of that, I could play a better round of golf on a daily basis. And if you
True.
would go back in history, you talk about Arnold Palmer or Jack Nicklaus. A lot of the older time players said, we would go to the driving range in the morning before the PGA Tour tournament was there. And if I was hitting a fade, I'd play with the fade all day long,
Hmm.
right? So he'd map his round around the golf course with a fade. And the days he was hitting a draw on the range, he would just map his way around the golf course with a draw.
Hmm.
And they are completely different ways of mapping the round,
True.
correct? So that's the amount of strategy involved in golf. You can hit it from either way, be it technical or strategical, and you could still become a better player.
Yeah, that is true.
It's one of the most interesting sports that you will ever have. And the biggest difficulty with golf, and I actually challenge anyone who thinks it's boring. Uh, the biggest difficulty with golf is the amount of dead time you spend walking. Correct. The walking part is dead time. You're not really hitting a ball. You're probably chit chatting or just walking. Right. Now, this dead time, how detrimental this is to you is that in human psychology, it is a proven fact that out of every 10 thoughts that a human has, six of them are negative thoughts.
Mm.
Now, imagine having negative thoughts while you're walking to your next shot, and the next thing you know, you hit a bad shot, right?
True. Yeah.
Why? Because you've been riling up these negative thoughts in your head. Yeah. If I leave any human idle, 6 out of 10 thoughts are going to be negative anyway. So imagine the amount of brain control that you need to actually play a positive round of golf.
True. True.
Right. And that's why we also see people I've seen people who are 90 years, 92 years, and 95 years old who would come and play a round of 9 holes regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were ever smiling people. So it's definitely whoever thinks that it's a boring sport. I urge you to come around and try the sport out, and I'd be happy to help also if you want. But I can break that myth completely that it's not boring. In fact, it's the most interesting sport to play.
Yeah, it is actually, and talking about the point that you made regarding strategizing, I mean, that's like the biggest problem with any average golfer, who's like a 14 handicapper or a 12 handicapper. We try to do the same mistakes again and again. We know, like, for example, we know that on this particular hole, there's a water body in front, there are hazards in front. I don't have to hit a driver. I can do away with a 5 iron or a 6 iron maybe and get onto the green in two on a par four. But still, you have that itch in your hand to pick up the driver and hit. And again, like the dead walk, once you hit a wrong shot, then throughout that walk, you're just thinking where my ball is. Is it in the bunker? Is it in the water? Is it hiding behind a bush? How am I supposed to hit a par? And then you end up doing a two over.
Right. So same like life, right? It could
True,
be that you've gone over a certain speed breaker at one point of time, and if your mind wanders, you will go over that speed breaker again, right?
true, true.
At a high speed because your
Hmm.
head wasn't there. And then you're like you slap your head and you say, you just had this last time and you've done this again today.
Again, yeah, that's
Right?
the whole thing.
So you knew where the speed breaker was, but you still accelerated on top of it while you should have decelerated on top of it.
True, true.
Right? So when this is the same thing like life.
Yeah,
And you forget about it. And then when you do this one time more and when you do this one time more, then you start thinking, oh my God, is there a speed breaker coming up now?
true.
Right. So when there's no speed breaker, also you're suddenly thinking, is there a speed breaker? I hope I don't go over it like that
Hmm.
again. Right. So that's pretty much what life is and what golf is. And I think you can have immense control on your mind and your general life if you were to play the sport in the right stead.
True.
And you would have a much longer life.
That is true.
Imagine walking 8 hours when you turn 75 years of age.
Hmm.
8 kilometers at 75 years of age. That'll be amazing, right?
That is, that
That'll
is
be amazing. And you could do that in a sport like golf. You probably couldn't run around a basketball court at the age of 75,
true.
right? But you can definitely go around a golf course. Your ability to play the game as well as you played at the age of 35 would have definitely decreased. But it's a sport you can still enjoy at that age. And that's
True.
amazing about it, right? You could have superb ability at the age of 18 and you could still play it when you turn 90. Your ability has dropped, but you can still enjoy the game like you used to.
True. The enthusiasm remains the same.
Yeah, you could still go out and enjoy yourself with it.
Even though you play your whole life in the same golf course, you still wonder what am I going to pick on the first tee?
Totally, totally. But
I
no
still
golf
think
course plays
about
same,
it.
Anurag, on a daily basis. The pin locations change, the
Yeah.
weather conditions change, the grass has gone up or down in thickness,
Hmm.
right, or in length. The rough becomes up or down sometimes. Every day, human body does not behave similarly. So one day you find yourself in the middle of the fairway, and one day you find yourself in the rough, and one day in the water hazard, and one day behind a separate tree within the same rough.
Hmm.
And you will be faced with different challenges on the same hole just because the day has changed. Or maybe even you can play the same hole 3 times over, and I can guarantee you're not going to do it the same way.
True, that is true.
You can't. You're a human. You can't do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like really, really difficult to hit, your drives on the same spot every day, every other
Correct.
round. It's like
Correct.
it's
Because you're human. Look at the number of muscles that are moving to make that small head connect with that small ball. So you better catch it in the center with all
mm,
the muscle movements absolutely moving in sync with each other, like they
true.
were when you were hitting it good.
That is true. That is true. And
Right?
yeah, I mean, even the best in the business, they don't hit the ball the same manner every other round. That's why the tournaments are for 4 days. It's a four rounds because
It's a marathon.
true,
It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Every golf tournament is like a marathon.
true, true.
So it's probably the most interesting sport anyone will play only if they take it up.
Yeah, that is true. You have to take it up, and once you pick it up, then you can't put it down. So it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. It's just that first day that you need a little bit of patience because you won't be able to connect with the ball. But if you can get through the first day, I've noticed that if people get through the first day, they come back to the golf course.
yeah,
It's the ones who get frustrated on the second swing and we're like, okay, I've swung this twice at that ball and it's not hit it. Though if that guy loses it on the first few shots, then he probably might not come back. But the person who actually connects with you in one ball,
hmm,
that guy is back the next day.
true, true.
That guy's back for sure.
That is
So
true.
actually, any sport for that matter, Anurag, I would say, even if you take tennis or squash or cricket or any sport, every sport requires strategy, mental health, fitness, physical fitness, everything. Yeah. The only difference I would say between other sports and golf is that golf requires a little bit more control over the mind
Hmm.
and it gives you a much longer span of time to enjoy the sport.
True. You need patience, and you also need that resilience.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the reasons that a lot of ex sportsmen, like maybe a cricketer or a hockey player, all these people play golf. I don't think they play golf because golf is a sport of retirement.
Hmm.
No, they play golf because it challenges them the
Yeah.
way their sport challenged them when they were working hard at something. So they play golf because it challenges them on a daily basis.
True. True. And talking about challenges, Rahul, what were the initial challenges with your venture that you started, Golf Garage? Or, tell our audience about your venture because I remember we came in contact, early 2019, I suppose, when you.
Yes, I would think so.
Yeah, so guys who are listening to us, I'll tell you a short story. So, me and my dad, we were looking at a few clubs, and at that time, TaylorMade had come out with their M series of irons and drivers. So, me and my dad were thinking, whether we should invest in new clubs at that time, or do something, or maybe try and find a good pre-owned set somewhere. And that's how I connected with Rahul on Instagram actually. And I was just looking at a few pages on Instagram, and suddenly this page comes on top named as Golf Garage. And that's how I connected with Rahul, and I met him. Me and my dad, we met him on the course, on the range, and we got ourselves a couple of clubs. That's when we initially interacted, and the whole idea of Golf Garage was actually that it started in his garage. So Rahul, the floor is yours. Tell us about this whole venture and what was the idea behind it, and how it has grown in the last 1 year.
So the way I started, Anurag, I started this in the middle of 2017,
Hmm.
out of like a whimsical kind of an idea that just came one afternoon. I was like, it had been something that I'd always thought of
Hmm.
because pre-owned equipment abroad, be it uh, Asia or be it America,
Mm-hmm.
there is a lot of pre-owned equipment available
Okay.
at a very affordable price for people who would think of that as a value proposition,
Hmm.
right? But India also has some, although it's a completely unorganized market, and you must have seen that yourself. There'll be some
Yeah.
caddy who will sell something to you,
Hmm.
something like that would happen. But there has been no sort of structure to it, right? So if you notice what we essentially do, and this is how I started, and this is how I started selling clubs, was I would actually look at uh, finding out what is the correct value of a product, certain model basis on depreciation and the condition of the product,
Right.
right? So we sort of started getting into organizing the whole thing
Hmm.
of pre-owned equipment so that every product has got a certain kind of a pricing basis its depreciated value because of the model changes,
Hmm. Hmm.
and basis on the condition. Like for a layman, if I were to explain it to them, I use the example of a second-hand car usually. Okay, take for example, let's say a Maruti Swift. If I were to buy a Maruti Swift which was from 2012, I could have two Maruti Swifts from 2012. They've of course gone through some sort of depreciation.
Yeah.
So these cars were purchased at 6.5 lakhs or 6 lakhs. Let's just take that as a round figure. And both of these cars probably would be evaluated at something like about 2.5 lakhs today, correct?
Yeah.
Approximately that much.
True.
Now,
Yeah.
both these cars also cannot be priced the same way
Hmm.
because one guy has used his car for 40,000 kilometers, the other guy has used it for 1 lakh kilometers.
Yeah.
Now, that's also not enough. What has happened is that one guy has actually kept the seat covers very well and the insides of the car very nicely. There's no dent on the outside. And the other guy has used it the other way,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So it's a challenging model of business because you have to look into various aspects before you price a product. But essentially, that's what I started getting into because I'd seen a lot of this in Asia and America.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I said, there are plenty people in India who would love to play golf and who would love to pick up equipment which is at a better price point,
True. Yeah.
right? But from a reliable source. So we started actually building up a reliable source of pre-owned equipment
Hmm.
where you could actually catch someone's throat if something went wrong with it, right? And that's the trust factor that I'm trying to build on so that people see that the product that we talk about is the product that they receive,
True. Yeah.
right? So we started building a model around pre-owned stuff, which was exactly what they saw is what they got, and the price they paid for it should always be a bang for their buck,
True. Yes.
right? So that's the model I started working on, and eventually, what has happened is that 2018 uh, we spent entirely on Instagram, and I
Hmm.
think 2019 June 20th, if I'm not wrong, is when I made my website live because the Instagram messaging and all that wasn't helping. So I wanted to give it a more formal structure.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I made a website and we started putting up pre-owned equipment over there instead of putting using Instagram as a selling platform.
Yeah, I remember those Sunday sales happening every
Yeah,
Sunday on Instagram. Those are
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, so that would be quite a tough one to do via
Hmm.
social media.
Hmm.
So that's why we went the website model so that people can know that okay, there is equipment that comes in, it'll go up on the website, and they can go and pick it up from there. Otherwise, it was a very cumbersome thing. I think even for a customer to let's say they find something,
Hmm.
then two people message me, then I give them both my UPI ID, and then one sends the money, and then maybe let's say 10 minutes later the other one sends the money. Whom should I give the product to? Tell me.
Yeah, that's a big challenge with
It used
social
to be a big
media.
challenge.
Yeah.
So that's why we went the website model, and we started the website with pre-owned. Uh, and 1 year down the line, actually, in this pandemic time, I have changed the complete model of the
Hmm.
website.
Hmm.
Now the website has sort of expanded in its product categories. We don't only have pre-owned now. We've also got new equipment. We've
Hmm.
also got apparel as well as accessories. I want Golf Garage to stay true to its whole call earlier on about pre-owned equipment, the quality of it, and everything, and the pricing that we look at. I
Hmm.
want it to still remain the same. But we've got the new equipment, we've got the apparel and accessories and the shoes from various vendors. So what I've done is I've converted the new section into a marketplace.
Okay.
So the new section is directly handled by distributors and dealers
Okay.
um, from across India. Anyone who has a dealership or a distributorship of golf products across the country is welcome onto our platform to come
Okay.
and sell their products. We
Hmm.
are very happy to host them. There is only uh, one policy that we are very strict with, which is an anti-counterfeit policy. So if we find that any vendor will be selling fake products, we will absolutely bar them from ever coming back and selling on our website. Other than that, we have an open policy in terms of getting everyone in the business of golf in India involved onto our platform.
Talking about counterfeit products, I have actually seen a lot of golf clubs going around in India which are actually fake.
Right,
They'll have the Ping logo on it, but it's not Ping. It's
right,
some counterfeit company making that.
right.
Any advice you want to give to people out there, when they are looking out for these kind of pre-owned products, how to make sure that it's not a counterfeit product?
Okay, so stay away from counterfeit products totally. The reason for that is not because they're not going to hit the golf ball. They might actually come back and hit you also. Okay, they would be there could be damages to the product without you even knowing it. So I know where this comes from. What happens is that people get tempted because, let's say, a ping golf set in the market costs 1,70,000 rupees.
Hmm.
Okay, tomorrow I walk up to you, I say I'm going to sell you a fake ping golf set for 25,000 rupees. This is also brand new. You're like, man, I really can't tell the difference. So this, why not just take this,
Yeah.
right? What actually how to tell the difference is a very difficult thing. I would suggest someone Google it.
Hmm.
I can tell you a few features that you will see on products. One is you check the prints on the products, okay? The way the names are embossed,
Hmm.
the way the printing is done on the shaft and the grips. You will see smudges of the print. You will
Yeah.
see very, very bad printing quality. That is one of the easiest giveaways of a fake product. Okay. The other thing that you will see is that in a fake golf set, I've noticed that when you hold the club in your hand, it feels far heavier than what an original feels like.
Hmm. Correct.
That's another thing. The third thing, if you know anything about shaft flexes and you know how to feel a stiff and a regular flex, you will see that on a counterfeit product, the shaft flex will never match what it says on the shaft because, of course, it's not gone through quality control,
True. Yeah.
right? So that's another aspect of it. When you hit the club, it will never give you the kind of feedback that an original club gives to you.
Yeah. And the sound.
Yeah, so that's feedback, and the sound is something that you will never get on a counterfeit product. The way companies build this, see, there is a certain amount of R&D that goes into this equipment, and that's why it costs so much. The material used are different. So, for this purpose, I would just urge people stay away from counterfeit products. Don't get swayed into somebody selling you something for 25,000 rupees. So it's okay. It's not okay because it's your hard-earned 25,000 rupees, right?
True.
So
Spend it
why
on a
even waste
Wilson
that
club.
much?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So there is Power Build, there's Wilson, there's second-hand equipment with us. There's a lot of beginner brands. This Decathlon does such great stuff,
Yeah, I mean, it's
right?
better to buy a branded set of golf clubs rather
Yeah,
than, just for the sake of having the Ping name or the TaylorMade name on your clubs, which actually won't do anything to you.
yeah. So if you want the names, I would say go for pre-owned. If you
Hmm.
don't care about the names, but you're looking at a budget, just go for one of these, beginner golf sets. There's nothing wrong in it.
True, true.
In fact, Decathlon has been doing some really, really good work. I'm very impressed with them. I know I shouldn't talk with them because I don't endorse them, but
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not a sponsored or an ambassador for them. But the fact is that they do some really quality work and they back it up, which is a great thing. And at the price point that they provide you golfing products at, I think it's a great bargain and value. And for me, it's important that anyone who has an accessibility to be able to go to a decathlon and pick something up and play golf, as long as you're playing golf, it's a great thing for us. So I'm
Yeah,
happy about that anyway. So it doesn't matter whether you buy it from Decathlon or someone else.
true.
When it comes to branded equipment, I suggest you can check out our website. You can call this a little bit of advertising if you like, but actually you could get original product at a much cheaper price. Sometimes hardly used by people, right? And that could be a great bargain. So instead of going for fakes, which would actually harm you physically also in the long run, you might as well go for something which fits your budget, or you want to go for a name, then buy a pre-owned, but don't go into fakes at all. There are also some blogs available online, in fact, even on my website, how to find counterfeit products. So, you should always look at that because there are many ways that counterfeit products get out in the market. And I've seen a lot of like these golf pride grips that get out counterfeit.
Yeah,
Um, it seems very tempting, and you really can't tell the difference when you hold an original and a fake in your hand. It seems very difficult to tell the difference. The difference actually comes in is that I've seen that players who get golf prides fitted, uh, grips fitted on their clubs, don't change their grips for 2 to 3 years.
Hmm.
And the people who get the fake golf prides put, they change their grips in 3 months.
True,
That's
true.
the biggest difference, right? So
Yeah.
pay money, pay it one time instead of paying it again and again.
But that is the whole idea. I mean, my golf set is more than 8 years old now, but it's working fine for me. I change my grips every year just to make, and I make sure that my grooves are sharpened every year,
Yeah,
so that everything and rest of the set is fine. I mean, if you have a good branded set,
yeah,
it lasts you as long as you play respectfully. I mean, if you're not someone who's just bashing his clubs every other round,
correct.
then I guess it will last you a lifetime. And of course, I mean, I am all in for pre-owned clubs, man. After
I think it's a
meeting,
great value for money.
it is actually after meeting you, especially when I bought my Titleist driver from you, and it was what, 917, I guess.
Yeah,
Titleist 917. I mean, it was just a 2-year-old club, and I got it at a very decent price.
right.
And I have not had any issue with it. I mean, the grip is still fine. So, I mean, I didn't have to change my grip as well. So, anyone who is listening to us, we will put down the website Golf Garage link on the show notes below. Also, the couple of blogs that Rahul spoke about, we'll try to put the links in the show notes so that you can go and check out the links and make a purchase decision whenever you feel like. And at the end of the day, it's more about you guys trying to get into the game of golf rather than just thinking about, oh, is it expensive, or will I be able to maintain this style of playing.
I can set you guys up with a beginner golf set for 5,000 rupees, right? A single club with me will cost you 990 rupees to begin with,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Of course, after that, the sky is the limit. But
True.
you could start with something like that and then figure it out. You don't like the game, it's like maybe 1,000 rupees gone out of your pocket, which is okay for someone to get hurt on, because that's probably going to be a bill in a restaurant, even if you went alone, right?
True.
So
And that should not be, an excuse that, I mean, money should not be an excuse that, you don't want to try this game.
yeah, I don't think it's any more an excuse.
Yeah,
You
true.
can even go to a decathlon. You can actually start with a kit from there. I think they sell their beginners equipment at 1,500 or 2,000 rupees onwards. And
Mm-hmm.
again, the same thing. As long as you are going out there and trying to pick up a sport, right? That's what matters. That's what counts. Whether you enjoy it or not is $1 million question. I can assure
Yeah,
you you'll enjoy it, but there will definitely be anomalies who will not enjoy it. Yeah.
true,
But there
true.
is there is equipment available for a better price today. There are golf courses available at a better price today. And now the only thing that we need is your effort. So and your intent.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, even if you want to just play it casually and have a nice weekend with your friends and family, I guess this is a great sport to begin with. You can introduce your kids into this, have a good weekend with them on the course and on the range, and just have a good time. I mean, I see a lot of ranges where you have the cafes and everything is there. So a good Sunday brunch is sometimes all you need to have a good Sunday.
Absolutely. I mean, go get introduced to the game, whether you like it or you don't. I hope you like the pizza. You definitely have fun out there. There is golf ranges everywhere, like Anurag has just said about the cafes and all. And I find that a really lovely idea. Go enjoy a meal, hit some balls. You like it, you come back. You don't like it, you come back for the pizza. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. So, guys, you can always hit Rahul up on his Instagram as well as on the website. We'll put down the links below. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you for doing this show with us today.
Thank you, Anurag. Thank you so much. It's been fun and also interesting to talk about the myths and all. And thanks for having me on the show and think that I can provide some valuable information. Really, very kind of you.
No, you did provide a lot of good information, and I'm sure we'll try to do more episodes like this with you in the future. And we are also planning to do a video series as well later on in the year. And maybe when things get better, we would definitely love to come down to the course and have a couple of rounds with you.
Awesome. That's lovely, Anurag. This was good fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rahul. So that wraps it up for today, folks. If you like the episode, give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and let's go viral. Remember, our weekly podcast features episodes on personal growth, mental health, relationships, business and entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. We would love to have Rahul on our show again in the future to discuss more about golf. So if you haven't yet done so, hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com. And as always, before I sign off, remember, life is black and white and everything in between.